When it rains, it pours. And just like the weather here the past few days, that's been the case with the news in the world of Loyola athletics. I'm Brendan Bond.
And I'm Pat Luongo. We're here to bring you all the recent developments at Loyola on this week's episode of the Rambler Sports Locker.
But first, our top story is the tragedy at the Boston Marathon this past Monday. It's a tragedy that touched home for many here on campus. A lot of our Loyola students call Boston home, and many more went out to participate in the marathon. Current running club members Andrea Larsen and Andy Beck ran, as did former student government president Todi Catalano. We are joined on set now by Andrea, a junior here at Loyola. Andrea, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So you were a junior, you're vice president of running club, correct?
Yes.
And Boston was your second marathon?
It was, yeah.
All right. Can you just describe what you saw and you heard? I'm aware that you finished about a half hour before the bombings went off, but can you just describe what you saw and heard?
Yeah, I finished about 45 minutes before the actual bombings, but I got back to my hotel, which is nearby, and I started getting text messages and hearing about the bombings. And then afterwards, I noticed there was police cars everywhere. There was sirens throughout the rest of the day. My sister and I noticed bomb squad cars going down the street.
I know Patriots Day in the marathon, huge in Boston. This was your first time out there. Can you just describe what the atmosphere was like prior to the bombings?
Prior, it was full of excitement. Going down there, we had to take a shuttle to the starting line, and everyone was so excited, talking to each other, asking which races they ran to qualify to get to Boston. At the starting line, everyone was chatting to each other, excited to be running the marathon. Mm-hmm. And throughout the course, it was lively. There's people cheering throughout every part of the course. It was a really great experience during the race.
Obviously, you finished before the bombings and everything else, but finish line, it's a big deal. There's so many people there cheering. I know you obviously were looking to get some water, some Gatorade, cool down. Did you notice anything suspicious or at all, or was it just you weren't even paying attention to anything like that?
I didn't notice anything. It was just a typical finish line. Everyone was pretty exhausted from the race, just looking to go find their stuff and get water and some food. Yeah.
There were reports of runners who continued running afterwards to go donate blood and other, obviously, heroic actions and stuff. Can you, describe some of the stuff that you may have seen in and around Boston? Obviously, you weren't right there at the finish line, but just stuff that you may have seen or heard while you were over there?
Yeah, I wasn't there after it happened, but I did notice the next day that everyone, you could tell who ran the marathon. They had the marathon gear, and they would ask you, were you okay? Did you finish the race? And just making sure that everyone okay. It was just the community really gathered together.
Yeah. I know another issue a lot of runners had was that cell service was down after the bombing, so it was hard for them to tell loved ones back here and at home that they were okay. Did you have any issues with that at all?
I personally didn't have any issues with that. I was able to contact my friends and family
beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good. Last question for you. Obviously, this is your first time in Boston, and it's a race you get to qualify. But if you were to qualify again, would you run there next year?
Oh, yeah, definitely. The actual race was so much fun, and I'd love to go back there and improve on my time.
Sounds good. Yeah. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to join us. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
In more Loyola news, the Ramblers are rambling into a new conference. Last Friday, Loyola's intercollegiate athletic teams accepted an invitation to move from the Horizon League into the Missouri Valley Conference. The move will take effect on July 1st of this year. A press conference to announce the move is in Gentile Center this Friday morning. But later on in the show, Nick Amatangelo and Bridget Sheeran will have more about what the move means for Loyola athletics.
The other big news out of the Norville Center last Friday was the announcement of the new head women's basketball coach. Athletic director Dr. Grace Calhoun tabbed women's basketball legend Sheryl Swoopes to lead the team. Swoopes does have a lack of coaching experience, but she believes that will not impact her ability to lead the team.
I don't have the title as an assistant coach or head coach, but it doesn't concern me that I can't lead this group of young ladies to where we want to go.
Despite that, her resume as a player is impressive. Swoopes has been a member of a national championship team at Texas Tech, 4 WNBA championship teams for the Houston Comets, and 3 gold medal winning teams in the Atlanta, Sydney, and Athens Olympics. At Texas Tech, Swoopes was a 2-time All-American, and in the WNBA, she won the MVP award 3 times. Swoopes will inherit a talented team led by freshman point guard Taylor Johnson and sophomore forward Simone Law. The Ramblers are coming off of a 17-15 season where they finished second in the Horizon League tournament behind Green Bay.
Loyola softball extended their conference winning streak to 7 with a sweep over Detroit last weekend. Junior third baseman Lauren Moore's 2 home runs, which helped her win the Horizon League Player of the Week honors, gave her 11 on the season. It ties her for the all-time single-season record. The Ramblers are currently in action at Youngstown State before visiting Cleveland State this upcoming weekend. They won their first game against the Penguins 6-0. Bree Pasquale hit her 8th home run, setting a freshman record. Junior ace Brittany Gardner picked up her 11th win of the season and is now 7 strikeouts away from the career Loyola record.
Men's volleyball ended the regular season in Muncie, Indiana last weekend, but not on the highest note. The team dropped their match to Ball State 3-1. The loss ended their 9-game winning streak. Despite the loss, the Ramblers still clinched a share of the MIVA regular season title. In addition to team awards, redshirt junior Joe Smalzer won the MIVA Player of the Year award, and Thomas Chesky was named MIVA Freshman of the Year. The Ramblers will open up postseason play with a MIVA quarterfinals match this Friday night in the Gentile Arena versus Quincy.
Loyola track and field continue to blow past the opposition at the Benedictine Eagle Invite in Lisle, Illinois this past weekend. The Ramblers won 13 different events and showed up on many of the leaderboards. The women's squad even took the top 7 spots in the 800-meter run. As a result of their great performance at the meet, Loyola swept all the Horizon League weekly track and field awards. Senior thrower Paul Jovanich, sophomore distance runner Sam Penzenstabler, sophomore thrower Allison Zakowny, and freshman sprinter Krista Kuss all won awards. Loyola competes next in the prestigious Mount Sac Relays in Walnut, California.
The men's golf team doesn't always play close to home, but when they do, Steve Manny hits the course to call the action.
For the first and only time this spring, the men's golf team did not have to travel far to attend the Kemper Sports Intercollegiate Tournament this past Monday and Tuesday. The tournament was hosted by Northwestern at a suburban golf course in Glenview, which is only about 25 minutes away from Rogers Park. The tournament started out sunny, but as winds picked up, rain showers moved in, and, well, golf clubs started flying. Freshman P.J. Rayner talks about his experience playing in the elements close to home.
It was a fun tournament because it was close to home. I got to sleep here on campus instead of in a hotel, but the conditions were pretty tough.
For each tournament, the Ramblers take 5 players and count the top 4 scores, but that doesn't mean that the other team members stay at home and sleep. For most games, the players are on the course, rain or shine, cheering on their fellow teammates.
For this tournament, our teammates came out and watched some of our round in the second 18, and it was nice to see them out. It was good to see them. They lightened the mood while we were out there, got to talk a little bit on the side, so it was fun.
As the weather continued to put a damper on the tournament after the first 18, the event seemed reminiscent of another golf tournament you may be more familiar with. A day after the Masters, the top college golfers in Chicagoland converged in the Glen Club for what is essentially the city championship. Now, just like the Masters, this tournament will be played under some cloudy skies and pretty steady rain. Although Northwestern came out on top at Glenview, the Ramblers are still looking to improve. With the conference tournament only 2 weeks away, the team has a plan to get ready.
Once we look at their scores and kind of see how they did, compare them to ours, but we're just practicing and getting ready for that big tournament.
Reporting from Glen Lakes Golf Club, I'm Steve Manny.
Despite their valiant efforts on the course, the Ramblers stumbled to a 13th place finish out of 14 teams. Nick Dennis and senior Ben Vandemater led the maroon and gold, shooting 10 over par after 3 rounds of play.
With the imminent announcement of Loyola joining the Missouri Valley Conference, we decided to ask our conference realignment experts, Nick Amatangelo and Bridget Sheeran, to scout next year's basketball competition for us. What'd you find, guys?
Well, I found I'm apparently an expert in conference realignment.
Well, Nick, you did write 5 articles about it.
Fair enough. Let's get started. At the bottom of the MVC, we have Southern Illinois. SIU did not have a good year last year, finishing last in the conference, going 14-17 overall and 6-12 in the Valley. This is the team our Ramblers will most likely beat on a consistent basis because things are not really looking up for SIU next year.
Another team Loyola is going to be able to compete with in the Missouri Valley Conference is Missouri State. Missouri Valley went 11-22 last year and 7-11 in the conference. They are not a good team, but not as bad as SIU. They'll be a good measuring stick for the Ramblers to play against.
Next on our list is Drake University. Never heard of it. Apparently neither has YouTube, seeing as the only video we could find is of their fans doing the Harlem Shake. This team is slightly better than Missouri State and could provide a bit of a challenge for the Ramblers next season.
Now let's head down to Bradley University. Bradley used to be a powerhouse team, making it into the tournament a number of times, including a trip to the Sweet 16 in 2006. They've been mediocre as of late, though, finishing towards the bottom of the pack last season. Bradley fans, however, have not realized that this team is no longer that good, seeing as they still finished in the top 3 for attendance last year.
Then there's Illinois State. ISU was supposed to compete in the upper tier of the conference last year, but things didn't really work out that way. They finished 18-15 overall, 8-10 in the conference. However, the talent is there for this team, so they might provide a few surprises next season.
Now for Indiana State. Indiana State has produced the Missouri Valley Conference's best-known player, Larry Bird. Bird led this team to the 1979 NCAA Championship, where they lost to a Magic Johnson-led Michigan State team. Since then, things have not been too good for the Sycamores. They have yet to advance past the second round since the days of Larry Legend and have been mostly a middle-of-the-pack team in the MVC.
As we move to the upper tier of the conference, we find Evansville. Evansville's kind of an unknown team, but they've held their own against the better teams in the conference, having beaten Wichita State twice last season. Evansville will provide tough competition for the Ramblers, but should be the program Loyola most tries to emulate.
Then there's Northern Iowa. Northern Iowa finished third in the Missouri Valley Conference last season. They finished 21-15 overall and 11-7 in conference play, but they did not earn an NIT or NCAA bid. This is a tough team with some good talent and should provide quite a challenge for the Ramblers in the years to come.
And finally, for the most famous team in the Missouri Valley Conference, Wichita State. This team made it all the way to the Final Four this year before falling in a close one to the eventual champion Louisville. Wichita State is graduating 4 members of this year's starting lineup, but they have a good young group that stepped up in the NCAA tournament that will take over the team next year. This will be the team to beat in the Missouri Valley Conference next year.
Sounds good, guys. Should be a lot of fun to watch this year.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Loyola in Arch Madness. Well, all the rain outside can dampen the mood surrounding Loyola athletics with the recent changes. But are all these changes the best moves? Mary Sugden leads that discussion and more on this week's edition of the Weekly Ramble.
Thanks, guys. Well, this week for the Weekly Ramble, I'm joined by Miss Megan Carabelli and Emily Brown. And if you guys haven't seen the Ramble before, what's going to happen is I have some questions for both these ladies. I'm going to give them the opportunity to make their case and their arguments. I'll be awarding points based on who I think makes the best argument, but we want you guys to go on after and vote on our Facebook. So should we get to it? Yeah. All right. So here is our first question. So obviously the biggest news, or one of the biggest pieces of news for Loyola Athletics this week was the addition of Sheryl Swoopes as the new head women's basketball coach. So obviously she was a standout player in the WNBA, but can she make that transition into being a standout coach? Megan, what do you have to say?
I think that she can. I think that once you're like a really good player and you've put all that time and dedication for so many years in, I think you can definitely translate that into being a really good coach. I think that it makes you an even better coach, in my opinion, because you've had that kind of experience and you know exactly what it's like to run those plays and to be out on the court. So I think it'll work out really well for her.
I have to agree with Megan on this one. I think all of her experience, both playing, she's a 3-time MVP in the WNBA, so she has all these skills, all the experience, and the girls are going to respect her because of her illustrious career that she already has. So I think it's going to pay off, and she's going to be a good coach.
Definitely. Well, I'm going to have to agree with both of you. I think both of you made a good argument. I think Swoopes is going to lead us into greatness, so points for both of you. All right, so getting to our next question. Men's volleyball just ended up regular play, and now they're heading into the NEVA tournament with the number 2 seed. Playoffs. Now, do you guys think that this is their year? Do you guys think that they will be able to take the NEVA tournament? And if not, who do you guys think will take the tournament this year? Emily, what do you have to say?
They're going to take the tournament. They're led by redshirt junior Joe Smalger. He was an All-American last year. They won 9 straight games. They lost their final meet of the season, but they won 9 straight. They're on a roll. They're going to win it. They're fine.
Megan, what do you have to say?
I also think they're going to win, but I think they're going to win based on the fact that obviously they played a really good game against Ohio State, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and I think that really showed a lot for their skill set. I think a lot of it is really like we've played Lewis 2 times. I think that's going to be their toughest competition, and they've won once and we've won once. So I think it'll really come down to it, but I think we're on a roll, and I think that's really going to help us.
All right, well, both of you once again have made good cases. It's hard for me to not give you a point. So points for everyone once again. Looks like we might have to have a tiebreaker. No ties. All right, so going on to our last question. It has not yet been confirmed, but all things point that the Horizon League is out of there and that we're heading to the Missouri Valley Conference. Now, what do you guys have to say about that? Do you think that's a good move for Loyola? Is this going to pay off for us in the future? Megan, what do you have to say?
I don't think it was a good move. I know, no one likes that. I don't think it was a good move. I think that we should have fought a lot harder to be in the new Big East and with the Catholic 7. I think it would have been a lot more effective. While we may not have been up to their par, think about it. Anytime that we've ever played teams that were high, like look at our game against Michigan State this year for the men's basketball. I mean, we almost won that game, and they're a Division I team as well. Like, I think that we really could have. I think you start playing at the level that you're at, and if we get added to a higher level, I think we could really improve our skills and be really good at it.
Emily.
You have some really good points, Megan, but I think the move was a good move. I think that it's a level up from the Horizon League, so they're going to be a little more competitive. It's going to take a few years to adjust, but they're going to be competitive. They're playing Wichita State, one of the, we said before, top Final Four this year. So they have some really good competition. Their level of competitiveness is going to increase, and it's just going to keep getting better. And it was a good move. It's better than Horizon League.
All right, for this one, I'm going to have to side with Emily on this one just because I didn't see the Horizon League going anywhere, so I think this is going to be a good move for us. So this week, Miss Emily is the winner of our weekly ramble, but we want you to tell us what you think. So get on Facebook and let me know, all of us know, who you think won this week's ramble. So for Emily Brown, Megan Carabelli, I'm Mary Sugden. Back to you guys at the desk.
Playoffs. Hey, is this the pants party?
No, this isn't.
This is the fourth place I've been, and they said this was the pants party.
No.
This is not.
No.
Okay. Okay.
See you later, Brooke.
Bye.
Bye.
That does it for this week's episode. Make sure you check out the Sports Locker using any of the social media outlets you see listed below. And don't forget to go to our Facebook page and vote for the Weekly Ramble.
This week has been difficult for fans everywhere. I'm a diehard Chicago fan.
I'm a diehard New York fan, but this week we're sending our support to Boston. So for the Rambler Sports Locker, I'm Pat Luongo.
And I'm Brendan Bond. Stay Boston strong, and don't forget to turn out the lights.